Hi, it's Warren Huart here. Hope you're doing marvellously well. As ever, please subscribe. Go to producelikeapro.com and sign up for the email list, and you can get a whole bunch of free stuff. There's files to download for editing, for vocal tuning, for sessions to mix, all kinds of fun stuff, free drum files. And of course, all the competitions that we run, there'll be plenty of stuff, information on that. So please sign up there. Okay, today I'm going to go through a song that I wrote for an artist called Kaedyn Kashmir. And she's only 14 years old. She's incredibly talented. It's kind of an Adele meets Amy Winehouse, sort of, paying homage to the great Motown and not so much soul, but Motown and big kind of cinematic songs. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's got lots of different elements to it. So let's get started on it. Okay, so here I have an old CADAC console. Now, CADAC is an old English company. They built consoles in I believe, the late 60s and 70s. They still make consoles, but they're mainly theatre installation consoles. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because I'm just using it as a summing mixer for this song. I actually use it on a day-to-day basis to record my drums because it sounds phenomenal. This console has a lot of history. It came from Pye Studios. It was built originally in 1971. It did lots of fun things like the Kinks and the Who and David Bowie records and all that kind of stuff. But the reason why I love this console, number one, great for drum sounds. These G320 strips were actually used. They had one of these, a 40-channel version of this console was in Monmouthshire, in a studio called Rockfield, where they recorded Bohemian Rhapsody and, the whole of The Clash, London Calling, and a whole bunch of other great albums. So I love these particular pre's because when you put toms through them, they go boom. They sound like Queen toms. So I use it for my drums. The other reason why I love this console is I just use it as a summing mixer. So you could buy like a Dangerous summing mixer or an SPL one or many different ones that are on the market to do what I am doing here. I'm using the transformers in the line amps in here just to add some thickness. You might ask, why am I doing this? Well, if you watch the rest of the video, you'll notice that I'm not using much compression at all on pretty much anything. For modern music, there's not much compression. The only real major compression that's going on is on in the vocals and maybe the acoustic guitar. But essentially, most of the stuff is living and breathing through the console. It's hitting the console relatively hard, and the transients and etc. are being controlled by the line amps in this. Everything's set to 0. The EQs are all off. There's none of these red lights are on. So all I'm doing is using the line amp section on this. So this is basically, a summing amp. So when you want to know why people, a lot of mixers and a lot of professionals like to use summing amps, it's really for that. See how much less work I have to do in the session. I don't have to control my transients with tons and tons of compression and stuff. I'm having it taken care of by using Discrete Electronics. That's basically real, capacitors and resistors and transformers. They're not as fast as, ICs, integrated circuits that you use in computers. Computers have got to be super, super fast. But for the world of audio, people still love to use discrete electronics. I get asked about it all the time, so hopefully that will help. Anyway, enjoy the video and let's go back to the mix. It's called Sliding Doors. It's the title track of her EP. So let's go through all the elements and check out what we've got. So let's start with what I used to write the song. So this was the beat that I created. So that beat there, I believe I used it in Expand. Expand came and I just kind of played something really basic in there. It's been EQ'd quite heavily. As you can see, all the top has been removed from it. Like the super, super high top. It's limited. The reason why I'm limiting it is just to keep it specifically at that level. And then the lo-fi plugin is sort of just trashing it just a little bit. It's a little distortion, tiny amount of saturation. Take everything off. So it's just giving it like a little kind of grittiness. Okay, so now the bass is just a DI'd bass. Played with a pick. Sans amp to distort it. Clean. Distortion. So quite a lot of drive to give us level from the Sans amp, and then it's being compressed with the LA2A. Quite heavily compressed, just to kind of keep it super, super even. So those two elements give us this. And then I added a string arrangement. Now there's three different elements to this that are playing, I think, in this section. It might even just be the one, just the pizzicato, there you go. So just the one pizzicato element. And a piano. Now this main piano that plays throughout, pretty heavily compressed, but I printed it like that. So that's the intro, let's hear everything together. Pizzicato strings again. On the strings, pretty heavy EQ going on. I mean, those sound good, but a lot of low mids that I don't need. They're going to get in the way of everything else, so pull them out. And then the Renaissance compressor. What it's doing that I like here is it's putting a little bit of the extra attack in. See the attack here? That if I bring the attack down there, it's just letting a little bit through, and the release is set where it generically comes in. So it's just exaggerating the pizzicato nature of these strings, that little pluckiness. Very lightly. Pretty straightforward, quite simple. So let's listen from here. Okay, first verse, here it comes.
There you are, you held my door. No one's ever been able to stop me in my tracks before. You're a beast.
Cool. So it's very straightforward. Okay, so there in the verse, it went just down to the piano and the vocal. Now, here's my lead vocal.
There you are, you held my door.
You see I'm doing some very simple volume automation here, just bringing it down here, then going up in the pre-chorus and the chorus. Very, very simple. If I go to, that's on the volume trim, if I go to the individual volume there, you can see I'm pushing and pulling phrases around volume-wise, because we're summing this, so we're not going through a console, traditional console, we're not doing the moves on there, we're doing this all in the box. Okay, so the first thing here is just a low roll-off. It's not a really steep, aggressive high pass, it's just a low one at 100. You know, I don't like to do this. If you're going to do that really, really sharp one, that has to be because you do not want any low end. I just want to discourage the low end. Okay, then I'm compressing it with the RVox. So if we take that section, just have a listen.
There you are.
Light amount of compression.
There you are.
Then our 1176 is doing a little bit.
There you are.
And a bit more RVox.
There you are.
A bit more aggressively.
There you are.
Tiny bit of
There you are.
like 6.5K and above, a little boost here.
There you are.
Again, using our McDSP.
There you are.
Now here's the first thing I'm doing, is I'm using a decapitator
There you are.
on my lead vocal bus.
There you are.
Just a little bit of distortion.
There you are.
Also adds a little extra air.
There you are.
And then I get a little bit of extra EQ.
There you are.
Some high here.
There you are.
A little bit in that 3K.
There you are.
Tiny bit more compression, maybe 2 to 3 dB.
There you are.
and then a DeEsser, just because after I boosted, even I'm doing only light movements of high-end EQ, at the end of that, just a bit of de-essing just to kind of get rid of a little tiny bit of the wispiness. You know, for a session that is being mixed entirely in Pro Tools, there's not as much EQing and compression maybe going on with some people's mixes, because I want this to sound a little thicker and dirtier, because this is supposed to be, you know, a very retro sounding track. Okay, now as ever with my vocal, I'm doing my vocal thickening trick. You can check out the vocal thickening trick where I detune the vocals left and right 3 different times. I've also got a tape delay that I've printed here. Very light, but it's distorted. I'll turn it up just so you can hear it better. So little tape delay distortion. You can simulate that in any way, shape or form. I am actually using a real Echoplex. I'm blessed to have one, but you can print tape delay distortions. I just like it, even if it's super low, it just adds a little hair to the vocal. And then as far as effects are concerned, you can hear quite a few. Let's have a look, see what we've got going on. Let's go back to our lead vocal. Let's take a louder section of it. Say here.
No one's ever been able.
I've got a verb here. And it's just the good old Digirac, Avid, Deverb. I think you've heard me say this a lot of times before. I really like the plate that comes in this. I know a lot of great mixers that use this. It's a secret weapon. It's free. It comes with Pro Tools.
No one's ever
the Echo is Echo Boy,
no one's ever
which to be honest I love. It's just the RTAS version. You can buy it. It's fantastic. I set it to 100% mix because I'm using it on a separate auxiliary, a separate bus. I'm not putting it on the vocal itself. I like to do that because then I can adjust it if necessary. It's giving me that old tape slap sound I love.
no one's ever been
I've set the tempo to the tempo of the song, and then I've got it on an 8th setting there. There's also a long delay, which is not playing in this section.
been able.
It's going to come in later. Okay, cool. So let's keep listening. So we've got vocal. Okay, so for the second half of this verse, as you heard, the acoustics come in with the bass. Got the left-hand acoustic here. And the right-hand acoustic. I've got 2 sets of compression going on. I've got the Renaissance axe working the whole time on both channels. And then when the pre-chorus comes in, and it gets louder, the second compressor comes on. It's just catching the peaks. See it here, just catching the peaks. It's using it more as a limiter. The ratio is about 10 to 1, so it's close to limiting. The toms come in this section. You'll hear like this little tom pan. Here's our toms, taking off some of the low lows. I'm not really high passing really aggressively, just low, just taking off the super lows that are going to get in the way. But again, not totally taking them off, just rolling them off a little bit. And then I'm actually using the multi-band here just to control it. They sound a little woolly. So I'm controlling the low lows and then boosting them. See the gain's up here at 5/8. So what we're doing is we're compressing the super lows and then 250 and below, and then pushing them back up so that when they do happen, they happen more evenly. The reason why there's a high pass on here is to take the super low lows, roll them off gently so that when they're boosted here, they're more evenly done. You know, it's really important to understand if you are going to use any high passing, how you use it. I don't use it super aggressively because you want to preserve low end in every instrument, but you just want to control how much is going on. You know, I've seen people talk about like, don't use a high pass, and then people do use a high pass. I say use it, but use it gently and use it wisely and understand it. You know, there's very naive assumptions about using high pass filters, about not using them or using them. And it's just using them in a musical way. So once again, what I'm doing is I'm rolling off the super lows gently, and then with a multi-band compressor, I'm controlling them. If I hadn't rolled them off, and then I try to control them here, there'd be this massive excess of like 40, 20, 30, 40 go boom. So what I'm doing is I'm just controlling what's going into my multiband. Okay, so that is our pre-chorus. Let's have a listen to our pre-chorus going into the top of our chorus.
Ghost that follows me wherever I go. Your music burning down deep in my soul. You move me, then you leave. And we're back doing stuff.
Okay, so some fun things going on there. I got a little reverse thing. One of the things you can hear is a reverse piano. So I just took the downbeat chord of the chorus and reversed it. It's actually, I was wrong, it's actually it's the pre-chorus chord, the last pre-chorus chord. I reversed it. There's a lot of shenanigans going on there. There's some verb. The way I'm using the verb there is the balance is 10. So I got the direct signal and the reverb up almost identically. Reverb's down just a little bit. The decay time set to 1 second, a room size 50 meters. I mean, it's probably pretty generic. You know, the factory default comes up, I just tweak it lightly. The true verb's a good verb. There's a little extra tiny amount of top end boost using the Pultec simulation. The MV2, as some of you may know, this is like our little parallel compression in a box. It's really good. What it does is it allows that, instead of going, I'm controlling the front end more, so it comes in a little bit more aggressively, so the level initially is louder. So it's peaking, and that's great, but it's not going from 0 to 100, it's kind of going from 30 to 100 by bringing in this low-level control here. Okay, next, little extra compression over the top, just to control it so it doesn't peak out too much. So 2 compressors at work there together. The MV2 simulating parallel compression, and then a straight compressor afterwards. Let's listen to the downbeat of the chorus, on. You know what, I missed out one thing. There's a little reverse cymbal. Where's that offender? And there's the rolling of the timpani. So here's our reverse cymbal. And our little timpani. Da-da-da. So it's just played on a keyboard timpani. The downbeat of the chorus, as ever, is using the explosion. You know, I love that. It's a cymbal and an explosion on my downbeat. Okay, now this is where it gets fun. There's a lot of elements in this chorus. We, of course, have got the loop that I built here. Then we have toms. The snare. The toms, we've seen, have a little EQ roll-off and multiband compression to control them. The snare, API, some 10K for brightness, little 1.5, so a little nose and aggression, and then cutting the low lows. See, the snare's quite dull there. All those super lows that we don't need. Put it back on. There it is. There's a huge tom track. So that's just a lot of extra verb already processed on it, but mainly it's a lot of ringing out toms. You get this boom, a lot of low end that keeps going on in there. No EQ on it. This has tons and tons of verb that I put onto it. Just printed it through the verb while playing it. Again, just plays from Addictive. Last but not least is a kick. And of course the timpani we just heard. So there's all my drums. Throw in the bass. Acoustic guitars. right, you get the picture. Okay, now the other fun stuff, of course, is there's the vocals. There's tons of backgrounds. You've heard the lead. Let's just solo the lead for a second. We'll just take that section. You understand the processing.
Then we're back to the start. Now I split apart. The roads are shifting, our worlds apart.
That's actually, believe it or not, that is a Melodyne built background vocal. So there's a pair of those.
Then we're back to the start. Now I split apart. The roads are shifting.
So I built that in Melodyne. Just literally took that up a third above. There's a double here, straight double here. There's the vocal thickening tricks. There's the distorted vocal. But then what I have is actual backgrounds. Not harmonies, but backgrounds. And that's what we've got here.
Then we're back to the start. Now I split up.
So the vocals have been used in a way to kind of create a lot of atmosphere and like an illusion of like a whole bunch of background singers singing together. So she sung all those parts. Okay, the strings, there's a pizzicato part which is now coming in. It's just a cello. And of course the piano. Piano chords. And then last but not means least is a Moog bass, exaggerating those. Just some little synth action. Again, multi-band compressor just to control some of those lows. And we'll listen down to the chorus with all of these elements in.
Then you leave. Then we're back to the start. Now I split apart. The roads are shifting, our worlds apart. We've been here before through these sliding doors. Discern our ways, can't escape our fate. We think it's a dream, but we're wide awake. We've been here before through these sliding doors. And there you are. How could we be so blind, thinking it's just black and white?
Okay, great. So as you see now, the second verse is a completely new melody that comes in. I've got the snare here. It comes in just to twist it up. Here we go.
We love the way it burns, but we hate the way it hurts. We hate the way it hurts. You're like the ghost that follows.
Now here, the strings also start to kind of make more of their presence felt in the verse. Piano's still going. Little line here. And that little line there I'm treating slightly differently. I've got it separated out of the string part. It's got some compression, it's got a little high-end EQ to cut. And then some verb. That just kind of makes its presence felt a little bit, because it's trying to cut through all the other elements. Listen.
You're like the ghost that follows me wherever I go.
Okay, in that section, the strings drop back out again. The toms come back in here, and you'll see there's like a different background vocal, not harmony, but background vocal here. And there's the backgrounds just picking up certain words. And then we come back into the chorus. And all the same elements, except that we're adding more and more strings and just making the song feel a little bigger. So let's listen to the string arrangement now in this next chorus. Here's the elements. So it's a great little part there. It really kind of gives the song, you know, it's growing exponentially. You have the first chorus comes in big, and then these extra strings come in on the second chorus. Let's listen to it together. One of the things that inspired me with this song was the song Not Ready to Make Nice by the Dixie Chicks. And the reason why I love that song is that in the second verse, they just go to an instrumental and the whole verse is like a completely different melody and a different idea. And so for this song, we have this first verse. And when I came to the second verse, I wanted a completely different melody, but I wanted to keep the energy going. And then I borrowed from their idea of having a bridge or having a section where it was just instrumental. So let me play you the bridge, which is pretty straightforward. It's got a string part. We can hear the elements quickly. Let's just separate what's going on. So it's going back to the toms. There's some nice little string parts going on. You can hear it here. Got a piano here. Really simple. That piano was just played using the grand piano plugin. So just using the mini grand, but it's really, after I edited myself tight, I just compressed the heck out of it. So hence the bop, 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 and the really spanky kind of sound. Anyway, so what happens is we have this traditional bridge section, and normally you would go back into the chorus. But after listening to the Dixie Chicks and such wonderful production on that song, I do an instrumental. So let's listen. So it's like a big moment because there's a lot of strings, there's timpani, there's a sort of feeling of, like I say, a very classic, timeless kind of sound. So what I wanted to do was make it very much about the musicianship, the musicality of the song. Now on the backgrounds there, I was just checking out, there's an auto-tune plugin thrown across a couple of the vocals there. I didn't graphically go in there and tune these things. These are pretty live. So it's just catching like 4 of the 16 parts here, 12 parts here, sorry. Not doing super hard work on it, just letting it breathe. You know, there's just a little minimal amount of tuning, and that's it. You know, this is mainly performance-based. You know, and with the fact that this is being summed through an old console with no EQ engaged, hardly any compression. You know, as a mix, you know, you guys can disagree with me, but as a mix, that's not a lot of, you know, there's not a lot of, you know, plugins going on here, compression, EQ, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's really basic. It's kind of like I'm letting it all go and kind of go slightly wrong. And then I'm letting the old console there, which is just, you know, we're using as an old summing mixer, just soak up a lot of the transients. So, you know, it's kind of in the box, kind of not. It's very simple. I'm not using any SSL. I'm just using the CADAC console to soak up all those transients. So what we'll do is I'll post this on the Spitfire SoundCloud link, and you can go and listen to it. There'll be a link to it there, and you can see, you can listen to the song and reference it. And please ask me any questions you might have, and I'd love to tell you what I did. As I say, it's very straightforward. It's really song-based. It's about, you know, trying to write the best possible song, and I'm not doing too many tricks. There's reverse stuff. There's some explosions for downbeats, but it's mainly, there's not a traditional drum kit in there. It's all just kind of having fun and writing the parts in the studio. You know, the song was written and produced simultaneously. So please, as ever, Leave me any questions below. Would love to answer them. And sign up for the email list at producelikeapro.com, and we'll talk about further stuff coming up. We're always running competitions. If you go to the Steve Vai video, with Greg Worth, you can leave a comment and like it, and that will automatically allow you to send me a mix so I can reference it. And I will send you back a critique of the mix. So please don't miss out on the opportunity. And thank you ever so much for watching.